I recognize we haven't touched on the content we meant to. I will carry that forward. And Eugene's adding, I heal myself with the power of my mind. Actually, we've had a plot twist here. I was going to talk about a fundraiser to do with the desertification of the Alentejo. And I think the person behind it is going to join us on screen, Jacqueline. So are you all right to stick around for a bit?
Yeah.
All right, I heal myself with the power of my mind. We'll come back to Jacqueline's closing thoughts, but obviously after we've spoken to Ward, who I hope is in a position to talk to us. I'm not sure if they are or not. Ward, I'm going to put you on the screen. If you unmute your mic, you can at least talk to us. If not, even if we can't see you. So let's see how you get on with that. The fundraiser I'm going to share on the screen now is to do with this desertification of the Alentejo, and you are taking a very proactive approach to it, and that's what I wanted to share. Along with the Trash Traveller, we've got the you can see on the screen there. Is that Ward on with us now? Ward, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Just a second.
We've got Ward. And who's joined us actually at very short notice. I cheekily said, we're going to talk about what you're doing tonight. Do you want to join us? And sent the link. And Ward has taken us up. Yeah, no problem. Look, take your time, get yourself comfortable, and tell us all about this amazing thing that you're doing. I'll give a little bit of backstory. Getting ready there, Ward. About 3 years ago, we bought a 33-hectare piece of land in the rural Alentejo, Portugal. The land was bought in the form of a non-profit association, Home VZW, so no one would actually own the land. So stewardship going on there. Multiple families would live and work together on the land with a common ground of sustainability, self-sufficiency, and respect for nature, each with a specific focus. After being here for a while, it became very clear to us, Ward and Priscilla, and it's Ward we're going to speak to in a minute, that this region is clearly dying. We've already seen the landscape change in so little time that we wanted to focus our energy on preventing the desertification of this region, reintroducing biodiversity by replanting, reforesting, creating ground cover and a healthy soil. Though it may seem green from afar and biodiversity is terribly limited. The biodiversity is terribly limited and exists mostly out of the last bushes before desertification. So that's the backstory. I'll take that GoFundMe off the screen. And here we have Ward, whose words I just read. Ward, thanks so much for joining us tonight. How are you?
Good. I was just going to bed, but I'm just awake now again. So
sorry about that.
No problem. I just saw your message a bit late. So
well, I set the scene there. And I'll definitely be chipping into that because I think what you're doing is really important. The Alentejo, first thought for most people, tourism, beautiful part of Portugal, but you're telling us the reality there. It's drying up, right? And you guys have been getting busy making it green again, and you're running out of money. So we need to help. Is that right?
Yeah, that's about it. Basically, we started this project as a
we got he's frozen up now. I trust he will come back.
I think that sounds like a wonderful project.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I'm inspired, I have to say, by what they're doing, and I'll read a bit more so that that Ward does have a chance to get his connection recovered there. Our 33 hectares of land, and actually the whole region, has been abused for centuries by planting monocultures of grain and cork oaks. Or
okay, I'm back.
There you go. Yeah, go on, mate. I was just talking again about the situation there. So let's hear it direct from you, and that's probably quite a wise idea. You're just going to talk to us rather than have your video to keep your bandwidth tidy.
Yeah, I think it's the wind. It's the wind playing with the cables here.
Okay.
Yeah. Basically, was a community project for different families, all living together more closely to nature again. And first, we wanted to aim on tourism and giving courses and about the thing that about everyone is doing in this region. But then after a few months, it became too clear to us that there was a lot changing on the terrain already when we bought it 5 years ago. Half of the cork trees had already died. The soil, when we bought it, it looked really green because we didn't have any knowledge. And as we started to dig in deeper, like it's just basically stevas, toju, and brambles, the raspberries. That's about it, and some cork trees in the middle. And yeah, we started to dig in, like how can we replant this? So we got into the more permaculture vibe. But like there's one problem: you need a lot of organic matter to actually change the soil structure and to actually grow something. And there isn't any. Like it's because anywhere you mow something down with the brush cutter, you have to leave it there, because if you take it away, you will just ruin the soil that was building up there. So it's really difficult to move all the stuff. Like in Belgium, we were able to ask the guys doing the green on the sides of the street, like to bring in all their greens, but here it's much more difficult. It's not as easy to bring in organic matter. So we had to find a system to actually build up soil and mulch and organic matter on the spot, which is as little water as possible. So we dove in a few courses and slowly ran into the system of syntropic agriculture. I don't know if you've heard of it before.
I haven't, no. Well, I think I understand the principle, having a little bit of a read of your GoFundMe and seen, you know, people recover from desertification, which obviously is a massive issue now. But so that's the method you're choosing, is it?
Yeah, but, well, it's the direction we're actually going, because basically it's the idea of you look at your soil, you see what it can handle, what you can plant there, you plant it, and then you start mowing it. So it's a process-based system. Instead of bringing input with compost and mulch from other spaces, you just go process-based. So you plant things and you start pruning them again, and growing them and pruning them. And then when you see the soil actually changing, then you start adding the next type species of plants you can that can actually grow there. Okay. So from only one type of plant, you move to two types of plants, and then the soil gets better, and you put a third and a fourth and a fifth. And the more versatile plants you get, the stronger the system gets, because it gets more pest resilient, it gets more resilient to animals. There's more liveliness, and there's much more soil buildup. So basically everything we're missing in this region. Like when we start digging there wasn't any worms, nothing, just pure brick clay. And a few weeks ago, I started opening up the soil to plant some more vegetables, and I was so surprised by the effect that I was thinking, like, if we can just multiply this in a large system, like throughout the valley, and then from the valley going upwards on the hills, that would be a major change here. And the beauty of it is, like, we've got a pastor, a shepherd, passing over our terrain with his cows, and like in the beginning he was looking at us like we were completely crazy, of course, because we're basically planting everything they are trying to cut down. And now he's already adopted half of our techniques, because his garden was dying, because they're just, for generations and generations, they've been doing the same, because it worked before, and it has worked for a long time, but they've never given anything back to the ground. They've kept on taking and taking and taking, and in the beginning it wasn't as much, because they
I think we've lost Ward again there for a minute. But Will is saying, wow, that's how nature does pioneer vegetation from sand or rock. Nice work. It does sound so inspiring. Needs animal nutrient inputs. So yeah, we've got the shepherd coming through with the cows. So hopefully a bit of manure on there is going to be doing the trick as well. Jacqueline, what do you reckon?
I do. I mean, I think it's a wonderful project. I mean, this is basically what they've done throughout Israel.
Yes. Yeah.
Is planting. And there's actually, I was reading some information the other day because I want to grow more in small spaces. Because although I've got plenty of space here, I haven't got plenty of work or muscle. Let's put it like that to work it. So, and there's a very good. I can't remember the name right now, but I can let you know the name of somebody who's developing what we call black soil, which is what he's talking about. And the only other thing I know about is the seeds that you can get, which are called green manure.
Yes.
Which plant, you just throw them around. And I don't think they're that costly, but maybe that could be part of the things that people could give.
Well, I'm going to buy him some green manure if that's what he needs. Ward, can we hear you again?
Yeah, I'm back.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Tell us what you need, Ward.
Yeah, tell us what you need. Tell us what you need, and we'll see what we can do to help.
Well, basically, for now we've done everything by hand. So we've dug the trenches basically where we've been planting because it's concrete. We dug them by hand. We made like plant holes, like about 200 plant holes of 1.5 meters deep to plant all the trees and the plants we've been doing. And we noticed like the soil is already changing underneath, but it's going really slow because it's just like concrete underneath again. So it's going to take a lot of time to change. So our next plan now is to just have a digger come in and actually make a 1 meter wide trench, 1 meter deep, and just have him loosen up the soil in the same rows and just plant the same thing we're doing now. But maybe with some extra other quality plants, some more biodiversity, and this can change the soil like on a much deeper level, which would make much more connections underground as well. So that's the plan. But of course, like these diggers, they cost like 35 euros per hour.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're currently not able to have them come over for so many hours. So we have to see with the limited resources. So that's why we're just crowdfunding and seeing if there are people like enthusiastic about it. Everyone is welcome to come by and look at what we're doing. I've been giving a lot of tours to people, explaining how it works. And yeah, we want to keep on doing that. We're sharing all the information on our Facebook page. I'm writing half books every time for people to read. And yeah, it started growing a few months ago. Like people suddenly started coming and more and more and more. So it's really interesting to see.
Yeah.
And yeah, we want to keep on doing this, of course. And well, starting from like 500 square hectares, you can actually create a microclimate, which has been done before in a lot of spaces. It's not the first time.
Yeah.
So the more people that are around us doing more or less the same thing, just it doesn't have to be exactly the same thing, but just replanting, just doing the opposite of what everyone is doing. We know there's a fire hazard, of course. It's very realistic, so it's a good idea to keep on doing the fire borders around the terrains. But if we keep on just turning the soil before summer every time, we're just going to deplete the soil more, and like drier bushes will grow, all the prickly stuff will keep on growing, and all the stuff with a lot of essential oils that don't need a lot of water will keep on growing. So the fire hazard will just keep on rising and rising and rising every time again. So it's a good thing to do in short notice, but on the long term, it's going to be disastrous for the whole region, what everyone's doing.
Okay.
So we have to find the right balance. Like, it's not, our kind of forest is not going to stop a fire, but it is going to burn slower than a eucalyptus forest or than steva.
Yeah. Oh, I think we've lost Ward again, or he's frozen up. But I think I'm going to. Oh, he's back. Well, I would like to buy an hour of digger at the rate you quoted there. So I'll bung that into the crowd fund.
Perfect. That's amazing.
What I want to ask you is, did you say 500 hectares is a way of making a significant microclimate and affecting the landscape positively?
Yeah, actually it is. There's a guy, the founder of syntropic agriculture. He's done this in Brazil, in Bahia, one of the driest regions in Bahia, completely deserted. Like all the trees were cut years and years ago. Soil was completely depleted. And everyone declared him crazy, as they usually do. And he started planting, just like wildly planting. And of course, Brazil has a different climate, but the amount of rain is about the same as we have here in the Alentejo. And after 35 years, all the springs are alive again on his terrain. He's got the most expensive cocoa in the world, the most expensive bananas in the world as well, because the quality is far superior to any other place. He's got the springs running, it's raining all the time, and there's a lot of plantations around with cocoa that get sick all the time, and his don't, because they're in their natural climate. It's a very complex system that keeps supporting each other. Like all the trees and plants are supporting each other instead of just having a monoculture.
Yeah, I get it.
Just plant. Any monoculture is prone to disease, or animals, or insects. So,
of course. So what would it cost then to create a sanctuary of 500 hectares? Because that would be a really good investment for a very wealthy person, wouldn't it? To if it was possible to buy 500 hectares in the Alentejo instead of, and that's land that most other people wouldn't want because it's fast becoming a desert. What with all the labor and everything, what would that project cost somebody to be a guardian of a microclimate like that, do you think?
Absolutely no idea. It would be just a lot of work, basically. Yeah. So a lot of people working, and I think there's a lot of people like us that want to do these kinds of projects. But we don't have an income. We don't have anything incoming, so we're just like trying to get by all the time.
Well, that's why I think you need to work like truly wealthy people for whom that sort of money wouldn't be an issue, and presumably would be a tax write-off, to have a 500 hectare sanctuary that gives people a livelihood like yourselves and regenerates the environment.
I think that's why I actually started crowdfunding. I was a bit afraid to ask people money, but then I realized I'm doing something really good here. I'm spending a lot of time on this to make an actual difference. And a lot of people are working, and I'm from Belgium. Everyone works there full time. They earn a nice salary every month. And they are following our project, and they really like what we're doing, and they're very supportive. So why not just spend a little bit of that money on us, so we can live and keep on doing this? And it's a way of it's basically greenwashing. if you can't do or don't have the time or not the energy or power to do something for the climate, then at least try to support in another way. I'm not afraid of money. You shouldn't be afraid of money to use it for good things. So why not support other people that have the power and the will to do this?
Absolutely agree. Absolutely agree.
Can I chip in?
Of course you can.
Well, I would just like to say also, I will sponsor an hour straight off. I have actually had a thought. Can you use them household things that we normally compost? Are you near people that have are likely to be creating compost? Or
it's not really, because it's 33 hectares, so the closest by village is 2 kilometers, and most people have their
I know, but sometimes people who can't. I think we're going to get it at both ends here. You've got the poorer people who would really love to do something, so maybe they'd collect their neighbours' vegetable cuttings and bring them for you and things like that, those sort of things. and you've got the people who Carla talking about who could sponsor you. Is it gone again?
Oh, he's back again. Yeah. No problem. I think we've definitely got the gist of that, Ward, and I hope we've brought attention to a few people who might chip in. And I guess it doesn't matter to you, like €1 or 1,000 euros. If everybody puts a bit in, it's all good.
Yeah, and even that, like, if people can't just think of your terrain and think of the actions you're taking on your own space, like try to just plant a few trees, like plant a few a year, and just not like a tree, but plant a tree and a bush underneath the tree, and just plant some stuff that is easily like rosmaninho or the rosemary. These are plants that grow easily from stakes, willows, chopo freixo, like the poplars and the other trees that grow near the river. You can just get seeds from the riversides. Just throw them around, let it grow, and if it's in your way, cut it down, put it through the shredder, and just throw it on the spot where it was growing. So we shouldn't be afraid to like grow more trees than we think we can handle.
Yes.
And then just cut them down for wood, or cut them down to put them through the shredder. So bring liveliness into your ground, into your terrain, instead of just like what do you call it in Belgium again? There's a name for like all the lawns that people have in the front, like the dead grass. It's nice and green, but basically it's asphalt, so they call it grassphalt.
Grassphalt, amazing. Yes, so true. Yeah, it's living death, absolutely.
Yeah, so just plant some trees on your own spot if you can't, because I know a lot of people here don't have a lot of money, so it's just do whatever you can to keep yourself safe from the fires, but don't step into the fear of clearing and clearing and clearing, because it's only going to get worse.
Yes, that's well said. Well said, Ward. Thank you so much. Let's talk again periodically, if you will. Let's see what we can do to help you. And thank you so much for jumping in tonight. That's such a short notice.
Yeah, I just saw them because your message got into like the, what do they call it? That I had to check whether I wanted it or not.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. That was Facebook protecting you from me. But lots of love to you and your lovely family there. That's Ward, Priscilla, and Joaquin there. That's the three of you who live there and who are in this project, right?
Yeah, we're 12 people in the project, but currently we're the ones living there, and a few others as well. But there's a lot of them stuck in Belgium, so.
Oh, of course, yes, of course. At difficult times, so they're wanting to get back here, are they? They're
still like finishing up things in Belgium before they actually move. It's like this project is for generations, so it's kind of like.
Yeah, fair enough. 7 generation thinking. I love it.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Thanks for the interest and for sharing it to the others as well.
Not at all. Not at all. Great to talk to you, and all the best with it. Boa sorte, boa noite.
Boa noite. Ciao.
Ciao. Wow, what a lovely man, and what a fantastic project, Jacqueline.
I think that's amazing, isn't it? We've covered a lot of that tonight.
Well, it went back to what you were talking about. The trust. It's about trusting it. Trust in nature and not being fearful.
Yeah, absolutely. And, also, appreciating it, not sort of, because I was thinking as I was talking about all the dust bowls that were created in the States.
Yeah.
And they're addressing that in a rather different way, because people are now putting their sorts of technology into making, sewage palatable for the earth and things like that. And that's what always works anyway. And they're converting, they've got vast pig farms and they're collecting absolutely everything and then putting it through some sort of system and putting it onto the land, and it's working very quickly.
Yeah.
In the dust bowls and things like that. So, but the Israelis, again, are the best people to go to for advice, both in raising money, because they have these big tree planting. You can buy a tree and they plant it and, put a little brass tag on it, so you can bet all the way around the world, like Save the Alentejo, you know, there's all sorts of emotive things that you can use.
Absolutely. Jeff's here tonight. Wonderful project. Going to Tavira for Christmas. Can we visit and see what you're doing? I think you probably can. Ward sounds like a real sort of ambassador, evangelist kind of character who's happy to explain what's going on. So go to the fundraiser link there, and there's all sorts of connections, I think, Jeff, to what they're doing. And I imagine Ward would be happy to see you and certainly happy to receive your donation on that same link there. So good on you, Jeff, for tuning in tonight. We're keeping people up. They probably want to just go to bed, and we've thrown this inspiring project at them. My wife's cousin is a permaculture expert, would love to build a good forest. We got a blueprint emerging, and the Alentejo is the place. It's like Garden of Eden, potentially. Oh, not a good forest, a food forest. That's to me, Jeff, that's the way forward. Food forests over multiple generations, as Ward was saying there. And it's easy to forget in the hurly-burly, isn't it, and the urgency of the everyday to think in that way. But people, more and more people are, and Portugal seems to be such a developing epicenter for it. I'm so pleased about that. Jacqueline, back to you. Half an hour ago, I was saying, could you give us a few concluding words of wisdom? And we were disturbed quite beautifully there, I think, by that influence.
Well, I'd just like to say thank you, and let's all get together more to support rather than to complain. And you know that I do believe that communities can do wonders when they work together. And just going back, you know, from what I've seen happen in Israel, I mean, it started with kibbutzes, didn't it? Which is very much a similar thing, where they were digging up clay and sand and putting in irrigation systems. I think they started the drip drop system, which is used here in Portugal.
Yeah.
I didn't catch what he was using.
No, I didn't. But you can see there's a lot of the blueprint for it in the GoFundMe page and their Facebook. And something else I think is important is vision, isn't it?
Carl, have you? Because I don't see that anywhere.
No, I'll make sure you get that. I'll make sure you get that. But it just seems that he was talking about multi-generations, and vision seems so important, doesn't it? I got a really interesting email from a guy called William Whitecloud today, who was talking about how we don't need to know the specifics necessarily. The overarching target, without knowing how it's going to happen, staying fixed on the target is really important. And there's something I think really sort of spiritual in that, without wanting to sound too, you know, cosmic or new agey or whatever. But I think it just stands up on every level. It's not just new agey and spiritual. Fixing on the target works on every level, doesn't it? Scientific, religious.
Biblical as well, actually.
Of course, it would be, wouldn't it? And we're corroborating it from every source. But, you know, clearly Ward there has got a target of, you know, of regeneration, of making the earth fit for sustainable and sensitive habitation for generations to come. We haven't been thinking like that, have we, in the last 100 years or so, a couple of 100 years?
Well, I don't know if when you lived in England you travelled around any of the gardens. You know, the beautiful gardens were built often around stately homes or, you know, other people's estates. And I often thought then, my goodness me, you know, some of these trees have taken hundreds of years to actually develop.
Yeah.
So those people didn't see the end results, but we are able to enjoy the beauty.
Yeah.
And I think there's something, as you said, very strongly spiritual in passing on to other generations.
Yeah.
That inspiration and that beauty, rather than we destroy everything from it. And so I think that's my closing word now. So let's do more of it.
Fantastic. Thank you, Jacqueline. Dona Jacqueline, everybody. And we'll see you again next Tuesday.
See you.